I called the third elevator on purpose tonight. I needed proof that something was wrong with it. Now I am standing alone in the lobby, watching the doors open and wishing it had ignored me. The car is empty. The ceiling light flickers once, then holds steady. Above the button panel is a narrow ventilation grille. The first rule I learned when I moved here was never to look directly into it. I step inside anyway. I moved into this condominium 6 months ago. It is 30 stories tall and has 4 elevators. The third elevator is the only one with a blank floor display. The car still runs, the doors still open, and the buttons still work. But the digital number above the door has been dark for as long as anyone can remember. On my first day, a security guard helped me carry boxes into the lobby. When I told him I lived on the 22nd floor, he pointed toward the elevators. "If you are alone, do not take the third one." I asked why. He lowered his voice. "If you cannot avoid it, keep your eyes below the buttons. Do not look into the vent." I laughed because I thought he was trying to scare the new resident. He did not laugh with me. For 2 months, I avoided the third elevator without really trying. There was usually someone else in the lobby, and one of the other cars always arrived first. Then I came home after 1 in the morning. Elevators 1 and 2 were shut down for maintenance. The 4th was somewhere near the top of the building and did not seem to be moving. The third elevator opened as soon as I pressed the call button. The car was empty. I stepped inside and pressed 22. The elevator began to climb. The first few floors passed normally. Around the 9th floor, I felt warmth beside my right arm. Not a draft, not the vague feeling of being watched. It felt like another person was standing close enough for their body heat to reach me. I looked sideways. No one was there. The opposite wall was brushed stainless steel, polished enough to hold a dim reflection. In it, a second shape stood beside mine. It was the height of a grown man. Reflective strips crossed the chest and sleeves of what looked like a maintenance uniform. I turned around. The elevator was still empty. In the metal reflection, the man slowly tilted his head upward toward the vent. I kept my eyes down until the doors opened on 22. Then I left without looking back. The next morning, I told a neighbor what I had seen. His face changed as soon as I mentioned the reflective uniform. He said he had once ridden the third elevator alone. He had kept his eyes on the polished wall, just as I had. In the reflection, he saw a pair of eyes behind the ventilation grille. I never looked at them directly, he said, but even in the reflection, they never blinked. He told me that everyone who had lived in the building long enough knew the rule. No one discussed it at meetings. No one put it in writing. They simply avoided the third elevator whenever they were alone. I started asking questions. Eventually, an older resident invited me into her unit. She had bought her apartment when the building first opened. 4 years earlier, a maintenance worker entered the shaft of the third elevator to repair a fault between the 13th and 14th floors. Procedure required the electrical supply to be isolated and physically locked before anyone entered. According to the official report, someone restored power before confirming that the shaft was clear. The elevator moved while the worker was still inside. He was trapped between the car and the concrete wall. By the time anyone understood where the sounds were coming from, he was dead. The management repaired the elevator and returned it to service. Replacing the entire system would have been expensive, and the accident disappeared into insurance reports and private meetings. The floor display went dark soon afterward. No one ever repaired it. Before I left, the older resident repeated the security guard's warning, word for word. If you are alone, do not take the third one. If you cannot avoid it, keep your eyes below the buttons. Do not look into the vent. I asked what would happen if someone looked directly. She stared at the floor. The people who have looked once never enter that elevator again, she said. The ones who looked twice stopped explaining why.
3 weeks ago, a transformer failed, and the whole building lost power. Every elevator stopped at once. I was climbing the emergency stairs with several neighbors when we reached the 13th floor. The fire door there stood open by a few inches, even though those doors were meant to close automatically. Through the gap, I saw white light flashing in a steady rhythm from the elevator service corridor. 3 short flashes, 3 long, 3 short again. No one else seemed to notice. The power returned 3 hours later. That night, I dreamed I was trapped inside the third elevator between floors 13 and 14. The ceiling light flashed in the same rhythm. A man whispered through the vent, "Tell them the isolation lock is broken. Do not let anyone enter the shaft." I woke with the smell of hot metal in my bedroom. The following night, the dream returned. This time the man said, "They are sending someone in again. Tomorrow is the condominium's annual meeting. A replacement contractor is scheduled to inspect the third elevator in the morning before the residents arrive." I decided a story about dreams and reflections would not be enough to stop them.
I needed something I could show the committee. So tonight, I brought my phone to the lobby. I started recording and pressed the button for the third elevator. That is where I am now. The doors open. The car is empty. The light flickers once, then holds steady. I step inside and press 14. The doors close. My phone records the blank display, the scratched buttons, and the ventilation grille above them. I keep the camera pointed upward while my own eyes stay on the floor. The elevator begins to climb. At the 9th floor, warmth gathers beside my arm. At the 13th, the car stops. The doors do not open. The floor display, dark for 4 years, flickers to life. It shows the number 13, then 14, then 13 again. The elevator is moving between them. My phone screen shows something my eyes cannot see. A man in a maintenance uniform stands directly behind me. His face is turned upward. The grille begins to rattle. I know I should keep looking down. Then a voice whispers from above the panel. Please, they did not hear me the first time. I look. A pair of eyes waits behind the vent. They do not blink. The lips beneath them move slowly. The lock is broken. The ceiling light goes out. My phone stops recording. In the darkness, the elevator starts descending. But the number on the display keeps changing between 13 and 14.